There's a quiet strength in the footsteps of a man who walks alone, not because he's unloved, but because he's undistracted. In a world chasing temporary comforts, he chooses something deeper: peace over noise, purpose over pleasure, and destiny over distraction. Some call him lonely, but what if he's simply focused? Some call him strange, but what if he's set apart? This is not a story of emptiness. This is a story of a soul who waits, works, and walks with discipline. He's not running from love, he's walking towards something more powerful than infatuation. A calling, a mission, a life unshaken by fleeting affection. In this life, there comes a moment when a man must decide what will anchor his identity. He must choose whether he will live for fleeting validation or for lasting value. And one of the hardest yet most liberating decisions a man can make is to live without the need for constant affirmation from others, especially from relationships that are more about appeasing loneliness than aligning with purpose. There is a certain kind of man whose life may seem strange from the outside. He walks alone. He doesn't chase romantic pursuits. He's not caught up in dating cycles, weekend flings, or trying to prove his worth through how many people want him. The world looks at him and says, why is he alone? Doesn't he want companionship? Isn't he missing out? But what the world can't see is that this man has already made peace with a greater truth. He's not here to be admired. He's here to be assigned. He's not living to be someone's favorite. He's living to fulfill a calling. Living without girlfriends or relationships for a season, or for a lifetime, is not a sign of failure or deficiency. It's not always about what's missing. Sometimes it's about what's present. A mission, a vision, a clarity that doesn't leave room for distraction. There is a power in not being driven by the need to be noticed. When a man lives for approval, he becomes a prisoner to public opinion. But when he lives for purpose, he becomes unshakable, because his value no longer depends on who texts back, who pays attention, or who validates his worth. Living with purpose doesn't mean cutting off your heart or becoming cold. It means you allow your heart to be governed by something higher than desire. It means choosing direction over distraction. It's about being intentional with your time, your energy, and your emotions. A man who lives with purpose knows that intimacy is powerful, and he refuses to enter it carelessly. He doesn't fear love, but he fears wasting time on a version of love that pulls him away from what he was born to do. The world celebrates a man who's always in motion, always dating, always surrounded. But heaven applauds the man who can be still, the man who can wait, the man who can stand alone. Not because he's incapable of connection, but because he understands that who he's becoming is more important than who he's with. He knows that not every romantic involvement is a step forward. Some are subtle detours. And he's learned the hard truth. Approval can be addicting, but it never satisfies. You feed it once, and it only gets hungrier. But purpose feeds your soul, even when no one is clapping, even when no one sees. There is a maturity in choosing purpose over popularity, and make no mistake, the pressure is real. The pressure to not be alone, to be validated by someone's affection, to prove you're desirable. But that pressure is a trap. If a man isn't careful, he'll spend years running from himself, chasing empty relationships just to avoid the discomfort of growth. He'll build a life centered around how others perceive him, rather than how he's called to live. But the man who breaks free from that cycle, he becomes dangerous in the best way. He's dangerous to mediocrity, to compromise, to the kind of emotional chaos that ruins futures. He's not looking to be chosen. He already is chosen by a higher purpose, by a deeper truth, by a vision of who he could become if he stayed focused. And when a man truly knows his worth, he doesn't beg for affection. He doesn't need to constantly be in love to feel alive. He is alive, fully, deeply, because he is aligned with what he's meant to do. Now, let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with relationships or with love. They are gifts when they are rightly placed. But not every good thing is the right thing in every season, and not every connection is a calling. That's why the man who lives without girlfriends, especially when it's intentional, is not to be pitied. He's to be respected. He's not avoiding love, he's cultivating wholeness, and he understands something too many people overlook. You cannot build a strong future on a foundation of emotional neediness. You must build from strength, from identity, from clarity. That kind of man doesn't need attention to feel valuable. He doesn't need romantic entanglements to validate his masculinity. He finds strength in the silence. He finds peace in discipline. He finds identity in who he is when no one is watching. And when the time is right, if a relationship is part of his path, it will be a blessing, not a burden. It will complement his mission, not compete with it. But until that time, he is content, not passive. Not lazy, not waiting for life to begin, but already living it. There's a stillness in his life, but there's also a fire that says, I'm not here to impress, I'm here to impact. That man understands that relationships are not the prize, obedience is. And when you obey the call on your life, everything you need will be added in due time. Until then, you walk, you work, you worship, you become, because it's not about who's holding your hand, it's about what's in your hands. What are you doing with your time? What are you building with your gifts? That is what will last. So let the world misunderstand. Let the whispers come. Let the loneliness creep in from time to time. Because even in the silence there is strength, and even when no one applauds, heaven sees you are not behind, you are not lacking, you are becoming. Stay the course. You don't live to be approved. You live because you were assigned. Don't waste your strength trying to earn what can never satisfy. Use it to fulfill the reason you were born. There is a quiet war that rages in the heart of every man. It doesn't make headlines. It isn't fought with fists or fire. But it determines the course of his life. It's the war between what's easy and what's right, between what feels good and what is good, between the comfort of distraction and the cost of discipline. Distraction is always available. It's loud, alluring, and relentless. It will dress itself up as excitement, as romance, as relief. It will promise to make you feel something, anything, just to keep you from thinking deeply, just to keep you from growing. Distraction isn't just about entertainment or relationships. It's anything that pulls you away from your purpose, and the danger isn't always in how bad it is. Sometimes the danger lies in how harmless it seems. But discipline, that's a different path. It's quiet. It doesn't shout. It waits for you to choose it. Discipline doesn't give instant rewards. It doesn't always feel good at first. It demands something of you. Your time, your focus, your pride. But what it gives in return cannot be stolen. Strength of character, clarity of mind, peace of heart. The man who lives without girlfriends, who chooses that path intentionally, is not just avoiding emotional entanglement. He is choosing discipline. He is saying no to 1,000 little distractions that could pull his mind, his emotions, his time in directions that don't serve his mission. Not because he's above connection, but because he knows the cost of giving himself away too cheaply. Discipline teaches you to govern your appetites. It teaches you that just because you feel something doesn't mean you must follow it. It trains you to distinguish between impulse and insight, between craving and calling. And that kind of clarity doesn't come from chaos, it comes from structure. It comes from waking up with intention, from saying, I don't live by emotion, I live by principle. There are moments when loneliness whispers. When it would be easier to pick up the phone, reach for comfort, slide into something that feels like intimacy but is really just distraction in disguise. But in that moment, the disciplined man stands firm. Not out of pride, not because he doesn't feel, but because he knows where that road leads. He's walked it before. He knows what it feels like to compromise and then regret. So now, he chooses to endure the silence rather than repeat the cycle. The world does not celebrate this kind of strength. It celebrates noise, options, movement, but there is a sacredness in stillness. There is something holy in being able to be alone and not fall apart. In being able to delay gratification, to guard your focus, to stay faithful to a vision no one else can see but you. That's the power of discipline. It anchors you when everything else tries to pull you off course. Discipline doesn't just shape what you do, it shapes who you become. Every time you say no to distraction, you're saying yes to something deeper. You're building integrity, you're building trust with yourself. You're becoming the kind of man who can carry weight, real weight, the kind of man who can be trusted, because if you can rule over your own soul, there's no limit to what you can steward in the future. That's what so many miss. They think abstaining from relationships is about fear or failure, but for a man of vision, it's about preparation. He's not trying to escape reality. He's building the kind of life where the right relationship will fit, not compete. And until that time, he won't let distractions blur his focus or dilute his energy. We live in a world where self-control is mocked, where indulgence is marketed as freedom, but real freedom is not doing whatever you want. Real freedom is being able to say no to yourself, to your urges, to the world's pressure. Real freedom is not needing everything to go your way in order to keep your peace, and discipline is the road to that kind of freedom. It's not glamorous. It won't always feel like progress. There will be seasons where you wonder if it's worth it, when others are celebrating relationships while you're refining your character in silence. When others are entertained and you are enduring, but in those moments remind yourself this isn't punishment, this is training, because when you live with discipline, you don't just survive, you grow. You become sharper, wiser, more anchored, you develop vision, you learn to listen, not just to noise, but to the quiet guidance that speaks when the world is shut out. You begin to hear what matters, you begin to see what matters. And most of all, you begin to change. Don't underestimate the power of restraint. The man who can master his passions is more powerful than the one who can conquer cities. The man who can look temptation in the face and walk away, not because he doesn't feel it, but because he values peace more, is the man who will not be shaken when storms come. So, yes, this path is narrow. It is often misunderstood, it is rarely applauded, but it is rich in reward, because while others chase moments, you are building momentum. While others are consumed by impulse, you are being shaped by intention. And the fruit of that will not be seen overnight, but when it comes, it will be lasting. You're not weak for choosing solitude, you're not behind for walking alone. You are wise for refusing to waste your strength. And in time, the discipline that once felt heavy will become your greatest ally, because it will keep you steady when emotions rise. It will guard your future from regret, and it will lead you not just to success, but to significance. So keep walking, keep choosing the hard way, the quiet way, the way of purpose. Your life is not measured by how many distractions you entertained, but by how faithfully you followed the path you were called to walk. Stay focused, stay grounded, stay free. There's a belief that often creeps into the mind of a man who walks alone, that he has been forgotten, that his solitude is a sign of absence, that the silence around him must mean something has gone wrong. That because he is not surrounded, he is somehow unseen, but that is a lie, and it's time we call it what it is. A man who walks alone is not abandoned, he is not unloved, he is not cursed, he is being carved. He is being refined. His solitude is not a sentence, it is a season, and sometimes it is even a strategy, because there are depths of strength, of wisdom, of purpose that can only be developed in the quiet places of life. The world tells us that our worth is proven by how many people want to be near us, by how connected we appear, by how visible our relationships are. But the truth is far more sacred. A man's value is not found in the crowd around him. It is found in the character within him. And some of the greatest men in history, some of the most grounded, resolute, and purpose-driven individuals were forged in long, quiet stretches of isolation. That man sitting in the stillness, living without a girlfriend, living without constant companionship, may not be lacking anything at all. He may be gaining everything that matters: clarity of mind, peace of soul, discipline in action, and a deeper walk with his Creator. But you have to see it differently. You have to stop defining your life by who walks in and start defining it by who you are becoming while you walk forward. There's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a craving that whispers, you're not enough unless someone loves you. Solitude is a strength that declares, I am becoming who I was designed to be, whether or not anyone applauds me for it. The man who embraces solitude isn't avoiding people, he's investing in purpose. He's not retreating from the world out of fear. He's rising above its noise out of wisdom. And yes, it gets hard. There are nights when silence is heavy, when the phone doesn't ring, when no one checks in. When the photos on your feed tell stories of people laughing, loving, moving forward together, and you wonder if you've been left behind. But listen, just because they are loud doesn't mean they are ahead. And just because you are quiet doesn't mean you are behind. There's a hidden glory in walking alone with integrity. It builds a backbone that doesn't bend with public opinion. It grows roots deep beneath the surface where no one sees. And it prepares you to stand when others fall, to focus when others are distracted, and to lead when others follow. You see, solitude is not empty space. It is sacred ground. It is the place where a man finds his voice, where he stops echoing the opinions of others and starts listening for the truth that anchors him. The distractions are fewer, yes, but so are the distortions. And when you clear out the noise of meaningless relationships, you make room for meaningful clarity. This is not abandonment. This is alignment. This is not rejection. This is redirection. You have not been left out. You have been set apart, and the longer you live in this reality, the more you start to see the gift in it. The freedom to grow without permission, the power to choose without pressure, the peace that comes when you stop measuring your life by someone else's timeline. Many men rush out of this season too soon. They think being alone is a sign of failure, so they grasp at attention, settle for shallow connections, or get tangled in relationships that delay their destiny. But the wise man knows anything that costs your focus is too expensive. And if being alone is what protects your purpose, then so be it. Because what good is being admired by many if you've lost yourself in the process? What good is being desired if you've forgotten what you were designed for? There is nothing weak about waiting. There is nothing pitiful about walking alone. There is something profoundly strong about choosing not to dilute your life just to feel momentarily full. And here's what's often missed. In the seasons of solitude, you're never truly alone. You are being watched, covered, molded. You are in the company of purpose, in the presence of potential. And if you listen closely, you'll start to sense that this path, though narrow, though lonely, is holy. So don't let the silence fool you. Don't let the absence of affection make you question your direction. Not every good man has a girlfriend. Not every righteous path is crowded. Sometimes the clearest path is the quietest one. Keep walking it. Keep trusting that what feels like a delay is actually development. Keep showing up even when no one is watching. Keep building even when no one is clapping. Your life is not being paused. It is being prepared. And the fruit of this season, the strength you're building in this private place, will sustain you long after the noise has faded. This isn't a punishment. This isn't a rejection letter from the world. This is a personal invitation into maturity, depth, purpose, into becoming a man who can stand, lead, love rightly, because he took the time to be still, to grow quietly, to walk with conviction rather than clinging to connection. You are not alone. You are becoming. You are not abandoned. You are being aligned. So lift your head, strengthen your step, and keep walking, because this season is not in vain. There comes a moment in every man's life when he has to stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring, "For this I was made." He has to shift his focus from what's missing to what he's meant for. He has to rise above the noise, the longing, the comparisons, and realize that he's not just drifting through time. He's been given an assignment, a specific personal weighty calling, and that changes everything. You are not living by accident. You were born with intention. You were crafted with design, and the season you're in, the quiet one, the misunderstood one, the one without romantic companionship, is not a detour from destiny. It is destiny in progress. It's part of the shaping, the building, the refining, and when you begin to see your life as an assignment, everything shifts. Every delay has purpose. Every silence becomes sacred. Every hardship becomes a hammer, forging something stronger within you. A man who embraces his assignment doesn't ask for an easier path. He asks for stronger shoulders. He doesn't complain about the cost. He invests in the outcome. He sees his time, his mind, his energy, not as things to be wasted, but as tools to be stewarded. He knows that when you've been given something great to do, you can't live like everyone else. You can't spend your nights chasing fleeting pleasures. You can't water down your vision just to feel less alone. You're not here just to survive. You're here to serve something higher than your feelings, and sometimes that service requires sacrifice. It means stepping back from relationships that are not aligned. It means being misunderstood by those who think love is the ultimate goal when you know that obedience is. It means choosing the narrow way, the hidden way, the disciplined way, not because you're perfect, but because you've made peace with what matters most. To embrace your assignment is to live like a man on mission. You don't wait to be seen. You move with direction. You don't need constant affirmation to keep going. You draw strength from your inner conviction. You get up in the morning not to impress, but to build. You use your solitude not as an escape, but as a sanctuary, a place to sharpen your mind, to deepen your spirit, to strengthen your hands. Because this world doesn't need more men who blend in. It needs men who are set apart, who are not ruled by emotions, who are not led by approval, who don't need a partner to feel whole or a spotlight to feel valuable. It needs men who are dangerous to darkness. Men who don't bend at every offer of affection, men who know that being alone is sometimes the greatest training ground for leadership, and make no mistake, being alone does not disqualify you from impact. It often prepares you for it. Some of the most powerful moments in history were birthed in private places. Great movements begin in the stillness. The man who embraces his assignment doesn't despise his isolation. He uses it. He sees it as holy ground. That doesn't mean the path is easy. There will be moments of doubt, of aching, of wanting to be seen and chosen and understood. But those moments don't mean you're off track. They mean you're human, and even in those moments, your assignment still stands. The work you're called to do, the life you're called to live, the strength you're called to carry. It still matters. Sometimes the assignment will stretch you. It will ask for more than you feel like giving. It will wake you up early and keep you up late. It will cost you comfort, cost you ease, cost you relationships that no longer fit. But the reward is peace. It's clarity. It's becoming the man you were created to be, not the one others expect you to be. You don't need to explain your path to everyone. You don't need to justify your singleness, your quietness, your discipline. Let your life speak for itself. Let your fruit do the talking. People may not understand it now, but one day they'll look back and see that what you carried in secret became the strength that blessed others in public. Because your assignment isn't just for you, it's bigger than you. It's about what your life produces, what your choices lead to, who you impact by being faithful even when no one's watching, even when it feels like nothing is moving. Even when you wonder if you've missed something, you haven't missed anything. You've been chosen for something, and to be chosen often means to be set apart, to walk a different road, to let go of good things so that better things, lasting things, can be built through you. That's not punishment, that's purpose. You may never have a girlfriend, or you might have one later. Either way, your assignment remains. Don't anchor your identity in your relationship status. Anchor it in your calling. That's what keeps you steady when emotions swirl. That's what reminds you that you're not falling behind. You're being prepared. And one day, when the fruit of this season shows up, when the discipline turns into influence, when the silence turns into wisdom, when the loneliness becomes legacy, you'll understand that nothing was wasted. So keep going, keep building, keep praying, keep refining your habits, your thoughts, your words. Not for applause, not for validation, but because you've been called, because the world needs what you carry. Because someone's breakthrough is tied to your obedience, and when the world tries to distract you with its urgency, when it tells you to chase relationships, to numb the solitude, to keep up with the crowd, remember, you don't answer to noise. You answer to purpose. You answer to the one who formed you, who knows you, who assigned you. You don't need everyone to understand. You just need to keep moving forward. You were not made to blend in. You were not made to settle. You were made to stand, to lead, to carry light. And if that means walking alone for a time, or even for a lifetime, you walk with your head held high, because you're not just passing time. You are fulfilling an assignment, and that, brother, is more than enough. Every man is born with strength, not just physical strength, but something far deeper. An internal power, a core of courage and conviction, a steady fire that fuels his ability to lead, to stand, to endure, to build. But not every man learns how to protect that strength. Not every man realizes how sacred it is, and many lose it long before they even understand what they had. Strength isn't just about how much you can carry. It's about what you refuse to let carry you away. It's not about volume, it's about value. Real strength is quiet, steady, focused. It isn't in how loud your life is. It's in how well you guard what matters most. And for a man walking alone, without girlfriends, without romantic attachments, this truth becomes even more vital. You must protect your strength, because strength is not infinite, it is a resource. It can be wasted, it can be drained, it can be misused, and if you are careless with it, If you give it to the wrong people, pour it into the wrong places, stretch it to impress rather than invest, you'll wake up one day exhausted, confused, and disconnected from your purpose. The man who walks alone must understand this. Your strength is your responsibility. It is your gift, but also your guard. It's the fuel for your assignment, the power behind your convictions. It's what allows you to say no when everything around you says yes. It's what helps you stand when compromise calls your name. It's what keeps you grounded when attention, affection, and temptation swirl around you, promising comfort but delivering confusion. So protect it. Not in fear, but in wisdom, not by hiding it, but by stewarding it, because your strength, your focus, your time, your emotional energy, your spiritual clarity wasn't meant to be given away casually. It was meant to be sown into vision, into purpose, into building something eternal. Every conversation costs something. Every connection carries weight, and not every person who wants access to your life deserves it. Not every situation that invites your attention is worth your investment. You must learn to measure before you move, to discern before you give, to ask, does this feed my strength or drain it? Does this align with my mission or distract me from it? This doesn't mean you become cold or isolated. It means you become selective, intentional, mature. A soldier doesn't sleep with his armor off in enemy territory. A builder doesn't waste his bricks on a foundation that won't last. And a man of strength doesn't entangle himself in distractions just to avoid solitude. That's what many miss. They think strength looks like dominance, like loudness, like having many around you. But the strongest men are often the quietest, not because they have nothing to say, but because they've already said no to the noise. Because they've learned that wasted words and scattered emotions cost too much. Because they've learned how to protect the power that's been entrusted to them. This kind of strength grows in the shadows. It's developed when no one's watching, when the choices are private, when the temptations are strong and the consequences seem invisible. It's forged in early mornings, in disciplined routines, in nights of reflection instead of distraction. It's the kind of strength that comes from choosing character over chemistry, principle over popularity, mission over moment. The man who doesn't have a girlfriend but walks with vision is not weak. He's wise. Because he's not pouring his strength into a relationship just to feel less alone. He's not leaking energy trying to maintain something that doesn't match his path. He's preserving power for the right moment, for the right battle, for the right covenant, if and when it comes. And if it never comes, he still stands full, not empty. That's what protecting your strength looks like. It's being able to stand complete, with or without applause, with or without partnership, because you've learned how to keep what matters guarded. You've learned how to pour into your assignment without bleeding into distractions. You've learned how to discern between connection and confusion. You have to be vigilant. The world will constantly offer you places to put your strength, some flattering, some fun, some flattering in disguise. But if you're not careful, you'll spend years giving the best of you to things that never deserved you. You'll build what you were never called to build. You'll attach to people who were never meant to carry your heart. And then wonder why your vision is blurry and your peace is gone. It takes strength to walk alone, but it takes greater strength to walk alone with joy, to say, I am whole as I am, and I will not compromise just to fill a temporary void. It takes strength to wait, to work, to prepare in silence while the world rushes ahead in noise. But this strength, this sacred strength, is what makes the difference. It is what sets you apart. It is what allows you to walk with integrity, to lead without wavering, to love without losing yourself. And don't miss this. When you protect your strength, you become strong for others. You become the kind of man who can carry burdens, speak life, hold ground, give direction. The kind of man who doesn't crumble under pressure because he never wasted himself on things that were never built to last. The kind of man who has peace, not just because life is easy, but because his soul is undivided. Your strength is a gift. It's your edge in a world that pulls men in every direction. Guard it. Nourish it. Pour it only where it multiplies, not where it's manipulated. And above all, remember this. Your strength doesn't come from you alone. It flows from the one who made you, called you, and sustains you. So when you feel tired, don't just rest, reconnect. When you feel tempted to give it away cheaply, remember the cost. And when you feel overlooked, remember, what's hidden is often what's being healed. Keep your strength sacred, because from it flows your purpose, your clarity, your leadership, and your peace.